joining me here today for this review of Shazam and Captain Marvel. Now, I saw these films a little while ago, but I thought I'd just go back to them because I've got Endgame coming up soon. I thought I'd talk about that a little bit as well. I have really been looking forward to Endgame, and it's been a nice, really good run-up to this with these last two comic book movies, which I thought have been really, really good. Captain Marvel, obviously starring Brie Larson, you have Samuel L. Jackson in there as well, and it's this origin story but told slightly differently this time. It's not your classic origin story in that we're visiting stuff through flashbacks, and I really like that. It's obviously done fantastically well at the cinema. The box office results have been great for this film, and that's nice to see because it is Marvel's first sort of solo female-led film in the MCU, and it's taken certainly a long enough time. I think at one point you would have assumed that a Black Widow film would get made before this one did, but it's come along eventually, and it's really good to see that. I really like the chemistry between Sam Jackson and Brie Larson. I like her sort of stoic attitude. I think it's fun. It's nice to see her be a bit reserved, a bit standoffish, and kind of holding herself back, almost as if, unsure of who she is in the world, because she's got these two kind of different cultural backgrounds to her. And I like that in terms of how they express that on the screen. Sam Jackson's really good. The de-aging stuff they do with him is good as well. It's very convincing these days, and it's kind of hard to notice after a while. You kind of first see it and then you're into it, and it doesn't really bother you after that. And I thought that was really good. Nice to see them progressing with that technology, and they seem determined to use it in every film. I like this. I thought it was a great film, great addition to the MCU, and it really kind of got me excited for Endgame, thinking about how this character is going to come back in. Obviously, we've seen that now in the trailers for Endgame, and I can't wait to see this interaction. One of the nicest things about the Avengers films is when you get to see different characters who've previously never met starting to interact for the first time and really coming together and kind of gelling on screen, and I think that's nice, or clashing as it may be, like with Doctor Strange and with Tony Stark. I like that in Infinity War. It would be nice to see how, for example, Thor and Captain Marvel get on as kind of cosmic, spacey, out there in the universe type characters. Maybe throw in some Guardians as well. I think that'll be really interesting. But I like the film. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. It doesn't quite push to an 8. To be frank, if I let myself get run away with my fanhood for the MCU in general, I could push this to an 8, but I think it's a 7 as a film. It's a really good, solid character introduction and a nice film with that. Moving on to Shazam, I loved Shazam. For me, there was so much to like about this movie, and I thought it was a real breath of fresh air. I like what DC is doing at the moment. I like what they're doing, particularly with this film, and it feels like a more intimate, grounded story, as grounded as you can be about a superhero who has the power of 6 different gods. And I like the way they brought this film together. It's got a lot to kind of throw back to 80s style stuff. There's a really nice big reference. And I thought they did a great job with this film. If you don't know anything about it, it's basically the story of a small boy, Billy Batson, who is an orphan, who's kind of in and out of different homes, etc., foster homes, and acquires the powers of Shazam. These, the letters Shazam spell out the initials of 6 different gods. He has the wisdom of Solomon and the powers of Zeus and, blah, 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 strength of Hercules, all that kind of stuff. And that kind of spells out the name, Shazam. So these 6 different gods. And they do a really good job. And my favourite part of the film by far is Mark Strong. Mark Strong as a villain is great, and they really go for it with the villainy in this film. They really do push this idea of being, quite edgy with the deaths and on-screen deaths and stuff like that. And I can imagine if you were a parent who had taken a child into the film who was too young for like a 12A, because in the UK it's a 12A certificate. If you take a young child of like 7, 8 and they were a bit nervous disposition, I could imagine this film would be quite shocking for them at times. And I think that's your fault for taking your child into a film that is clearly classified for older children. But, I took my daughter along to see it. And she's only 9, but she's kind of exposed to these kind of things. And she loved it. She thought it was really, really good fun. It was a nice film. She didn't like it as much as Captain Marvel. She really liked that. My wife and my daughter really loved Captain Marvel, and they had a great time, laughing a lot more than I was at the film. But they did both like Shazam as well. It's a great film to kind of see in 3D, lots of really good special effects. But what I liked about it most of all is how kind of grounded it is and how they play these kind of little 80s style, Goonies style winks and nudges of kind of kids being how you expect kids to really be. It's not quite as well acted as some of that kind of 80s stuff is, particularly with our younger characters, but it's nice to see that kind of throwback. The big thing where they do kind of a twist on the sort of giant piano keyboard thing on the floor, I thought that was great. And it's kind of a little nudge just to suggest this is quite a sort of Spielberg, Lucas throwback kind of thing. There's violence, there's bad language, not too much, but it's that really what I would call good family film with something that's pushing the boundaries for small kids, but it's going to be good for all the family to watch. That's my view on it. Anyway, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Shazam for me is, actually I enjoyed it a little bit more than I enjoyed Captain Marvel. I wasn't expecting that. But I think as a standalone film, it's great. I look forward to seeing what they do with it again. And in a weird way, it kind of reminded me of Deadpool. It reminded me of something that's familiar because it's part of this kind of extended universe and they reference Superman and Batman and stuff like that. But has very little of that in it and exists purely on its own in a standalone world and has some nice, slightly edgy bits, not as edgy as Deadpool, but getting in that kind of direction. Anyway, have you seen these films? What do you think about them? What's your view on these ones? If you have seen them, let me know in the comment section down below. Obviously, you should have done by now because it's quite some time ago that they went out. And yeah, let me know in the comment section down below. Look forward to hearing from you. As always, feel free to like, share and subscribe to the channel. You can click the little bell to stay notified about upcoming videos. You can get me through my email address, which is juliettesnoir@gmail.com, or the website julietteisnoir.uk. Look forward to talking to you all again soon, and as ever, bye! Bye!